Hey everybody, Dan with Pain Free You. Today's topic is going to be, what is my brain so afraid of? All right, so we'll get to that in a second. Again, as always, slow your breath. Breathe in the clarity. Exhale the doubt. Breathe in the calm. Exhale the chaos. So, I've been talking about this concept of perceived danger creating pain or symptoms, and I think that's well echoed among my peers in the mind-body space. Sarno's original thought was repressed emotions, primarily anger and rage, and he's absolutely right. That is a perceived danger. The brain reacts to that and creates symptoms. Now, there's a whole bunch of theories on the exact mechanisms, but it's pretty well understood and agreed upon that overwhelming emotions repressed that are starting to accumulate and build up can absolutely turn on symptoms. But I don't think it ends with just emotions, right? I think there's a lot of different things that the brain can perceive as dangerous and can cause symptoms to turn on or increase. So, I've got a list here, and that's why the glasses are on. But yes, repressed emotions, but frankly, even conscious emotions can cause the symptoms to tick up or turn on. And in a lot of cases, our own thinking, our thoughts. Because if we are having scary, catastrophic, future-based doom and gloom thoughts, that's going to keep the brain elevated and perceiving danger and can turn on or turn up symptoms. So, fear of medical appointments or investigations or even treatments, anticipating that, oh no, or dental appointments, oh no, not looking forward to that, scary, scary. Symptoms absolutely can go up or turn on in anticipation of those medical appointments or treatments. Getting a diagnosis, even an incorrect one. A lot of times there's lots of stories in the mind-body space of people who, they've had back pain, for example, and when they finally got the MRI and they were shown, oh, look, there's your bulging or herniated disc, what happened to the symptoms? Straight up. Oh no, I really am broken. Fear, perceived danger, medical result, diagnosis, right? The fear and perceived danger can go up. Now, are there emotions involved in that? Absolutely. We are emotional beings, and emotions are involved in all this stuff, right? But, I just wanted to speak to a higher level, some of the things that the brain definitely can perceive as a problem or dangerous. So let's look at this one. Movement, body positions. They can be perceived as dangerous. It doesn't take but more than one or two times doing a movement or, having a body position a certain way and experiencing pain for the brain to learn, oh no, sitting is dangerous. Laying on my right side is dangerous, my left side isn't. Moving, walking, climbing stairs, you name it. So movement and body positions definitely can be perceived as dangerous. The brain can learn those things and keep symptoms persistent during those movements or activities or body positions for a long time. How about this one? Self-judgment, self-criticism. Well, oftentimes when we are judged or criticized, that feels like an attack. Nothing about that is perceived as safe and therefore dangerous. So the brain can react with higher symptoms when we're being really hard on ourselves, judging ourselves. Some other things. Social stress, work stress, financial stress, right? Those things can absolutely, based on our own self-image, our own comfort in being in those environments, can absolutely be perceived by the brain as, dangerous, and can cause an increase or an onset of symptoms. So what else do we have? We've got foods and chemicals, other sensitivities, light, sound, you name it, mold, EMFs, meaning the Wi-Fi type of stuff, the cell signal stuff, those things can be perceived as dangerous. Even weather, the brain can learn that weather's a problem. Also hormonal changes. All you need is 1 or 2 times during a hormonal time with increased symptoms, and the brain will learn quickly, connect the dots, hormones equal more pain, and now all of a sudden there is an expectation and an increase in symptoms around that time of month, for example, or surrounding changes around menopause and all sorts of things. But the brain can become more sensitive to these things, and through the lens of danger, symptoms can increase during those things. So sensitivities. How about this one? Fear of medications, side effects, or even fear of withdrawing from them. Oh no, without the meds, my symptoms are going to spike. Now look, sometimes there is an organic biological response to new meds or decreasing in meds. But I can assure you that the brain's perception of, this is going to be horrible, absolutely plays a role in the intensity and the duration of our medication side effects or withdrawal side effects. Not saying there's not real stuff going on. There is. But the brain's perception is absolutely involved at a high degree. How about getting sick? I seem to think that long COVID is more of a scare event, a perceived danger event, than a viral result. Because some people don't get symptoms for months after they get over COVID. But yet their symptoms are blamed on the actual virus. There's a lot of debate out in the world. The doctors don't have it figured out, and I'm not saying I've got it absolutely figured out, but there's plenty of success stories of people who apply this mind-body safety approach to getting over a whole bunch of symptoms that have been labeled long COVID. So I think getting sick can be perceived as dangerous, and getting sick with the pandemic disease or virus can absolutely send some people's systems into overdrive and be very symptomatic. And then if they're told it's a viral thing, and then they look and see what's being published about it, it can be very scary. There's a lot of bad neighborhoods out there talking about how many people are suffering. Now back to the emotional world. Abandonment, relationship stress, criticism, judgment from partners, criticism, judgment from parents, in-laws, siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, you name it. Relationship stress can absolutely be triggers. Here's where it gets down to the actual symptoms. Just the fear and the focus and the belief that I'm broken in some way, shape, or form can perpetuate symptoms. And so fighting the symptoms, fearing them, freaking out about them, that's creating more and more danger. So we don't want to fight them. We want to allow them, right? But understand that the symptoms themselves can be the danger that keeps them going. So it's important, and I always talk about this, to get super clear on the cause of symptoms. You're not broken, you're not sick, or you may not be if you've done the assessments and you've ruled out significant medical problems. But if you've ruled that out and you've ruled in this mind-body thing that Sarno called TMS, that I call a perceived danger response, then if you are still experiencing symptoms, sometimes the fear of the symptom itself. I don't like the pain. I'm afraid of the pain. But now a lot of people become afraid of fear. I'm afraid of my own brain. If my brain does this, what else can it do? Well, if the brain can turn it on, the brain can turn it off. So, fear of the symptoms. Nocebos. They're all over the place. Hey, back pain. Dan, how many times did I have nocebos? Don't bend that way. Don't do this. Don't shovel the driveway. Stop cutting the lawn. You're crazy. You're going to need surgery. Lots of warnings. Nocebos, the belief that sitting is dangerous, that walking or running is dangerous, that lifting weights is dangerous. Nocebos everywhere. And it's not just media. It's not just doctors. It's coming from well-meaning friends and family sometimes, a lot of times. And we can nocebo ourselves by self-diagnosing ourselves with something way more dramatic than the doctors are even saying we have. So don't self-diagnose yourself. That's a nocebo. That's a belief that I'm much more sick than The doctors can't figure me out, so I am really broken. We can nocebo ourselves. And also, making statements to ourselves in an attempt to fix ourselves and making statements that we don't believe. I'm healthy, I'm strong, I'm safe, I'm okay. It's all good. Look, if you are going to reassure yourself that you're okay, make sure you're standing on a solid foundation of understanding the system so you understand what's causing the symptoms, and also understanding that your symptoms fit into this mind-body category, behaviors of symptoms. It's much easier for your brain to latch onto and agree with the I'm going to be okay response to symptoms. And again, one of the last things that I'll mention here is how we respond to symptoms is either going to convey I'm okay or oh no, I'm in deep trouble, right? Responding to symptoms in fear and panic and worry is perpetuating the brain's belief there's something dangerous happening. Engaging in life more is great, but if you're doing it terrified because you're worried that, oh no, this thing's going to make me hurt worse, those things can perpetuate that danger that the brain is perceiving. So overall, stand on a solid foundation of knowing what's happening. And then ask yourself, is the way I'm behaving, responding, thinking, perceiving my symptoms, is that creating safety? Or is it perpetuating the fear and the danger? So that's a real good test. Am I scaring myself more? Or am I reassuring myself that I'm going to be okay? And one of the best ways to do that is to be less bothered by the symptoms. It takes practice. Less bothered, more indifferent over time will show the brain Dan's not concerned. He must be okay, right? So I hope this makes sense. Lots of examples of perceived danger. I do talk about a lot of this stuff in the book. I talk about it on my videos a lot. But I just really wanted to answer the question of what the heck is my brain so afraid of? Because it can be afraid of a lot of stuff. And so understand how the system works. Decide that this applies to you by doing the assessments and seeing how your symptoms behave. Rule out anything catastrophic with the doctors, life-threatening, cancers, tumors, infections, fractures, that kind of stuff. But then rule in the mind-body and then make a decision to go, yep, this makes sense for me. And then hold that decision so that your brain can latch onto that accurate knowledge to help neutralize the fear. So that's the cognitive part. But we also want to show the brain that we're okay through our response to the pain or the symptoms. And if we can respond more of a matter of fact, I'm okay, unbothered, I don't care so much. Don't just say I don't care when you're terrified. That doesn't work. But authentically. And that doesn't happen overnight. We can't manufacture indifference by saying, I'm going to be indifferent today. If you're doing it to get rid of the symptoms, you're nowhere near indifferent. So, lots of thoughts, lots of, topics here. Hopefully you found it valuable. As usual, I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, by the way, if you're not a subscriber, please do. We're within 50 or so subscribers of hitting 60,000. So for everybody who subscribes on YouTube, thank you. I love you. Appreciate you. If you're not a subscriber yet and you'd like to see more of this content, hit the subscribe button and help me top over the 60,000 subscriber mark. And as always, love you, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.